researchers may have found a way to identify murderers by scanning their brains. Showed that the brains of violent offenders weren't noticeably different from those of non-violent offenders. The only significant differences were found in the brains of murderers. In these brains, there were distinct reductions in the level of gray matter in a number of areas of the brain. Specifically, the orbital frontal cortex and the anterior temporal lobes were affected the most.
Everything law does at some level is about changing behavior and learning about the brain and learning about biology and how people think and perceive and act is all part of the grand mission of figuring out how to make them behave better.
Are there things that need to change based on what we now know about the brain?
Right. Many people believe that we can, through brain scanning and other techniques, learn something meaningful about the degree of this person's culpability. And there I think we are making progress, not in answering the hard question of how culpable is this person, but of adding to the dimension or adding to the weight of other information that we're getting.
So let's start for a minute by talking about what we're really talking about here. And first and foremost, we're talking about people. We're not talking about illnesses and disabilities. We're not talking about crimes and criminals. We're not talking about patients or clients or convicts or inmates or offenders or consumers or survivors or any other label that you can think of. We're talking about people. And some people get sick. To the dimension or adding to the weight of other information that we're getting about this person's behavior. We would never do a brain scan and say, wow, notwithstanding the fact that this guy is behaving completely normally, say all his friends and coworkers, the brain scan says he's insane, so I guess he's insane. We'd never say that. Mm-hmm. On the other hand, if we had a lot of reason to believe that for a long time he had been claiming he was hearing voices, and coworkers say that he's taken a turn for the worse and seems to be behaving in a very aberrational way. If we then also have a brain scan that shows some area of the brain is significantly impeded in its structure, we might say these two things together add up to more than either of them individually, and we might feel a little bit more comfortable thinking, say at a sentencing phase, that he's perhaps not insane, but also not as culpable as the average person.
These studies don't indicate that someone has murdered anyone, nor do they indicate that they will murder anyone. Instead, they simply identify some factors that could indicate a higher propensity for homicidal behaviors.
There are people who have mental illness who do engage in violent behaviors. However, mental illness is not a good predictor of violence. And in fact, people who have mental illnesses are quite vulnerable.